Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of From the Studio. I'm Corey Riggs, your host. Happy to welcome you inside our MC22 studios and so glad that you're joining us once again. I hope you all had a good Memorial Day celebration on Monday, remembering those who have served this country and those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. In today's show, we're going to talk about sports, but not in the most mainstream sense. Our first topic will allow us to focus on the rise of esports in the United States. A new business has come to Southwest Missouri in that vein called Contender Esports. Brett Payne will join us first to educate us on the world of online gaming and what the culture is like in the Ozarks. Then we will continue with the topic of sports, but from a slightly different angle. Have you ever wondered why NASCAR races turn left? Did you know that basketball used to be played in a cage, not unlike a UFC fight? Those are just some of the topics being covered on a new website out of St. Louis. PJ Ellis and Michael Rachel are the creative duo at oddsportstopics.com, and they will talk with us a little bit later. If you're enjoying the show and you'd like to reach out to us to provide us with new topics or show ideas, feel free to do so on Twitter at FromTheStudio22. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned. Brett Payne from Contender Esports joins us from the studio after this.
Hi, I'm Judy Ballou, your host for Dishing It Up. I invite you to join me every week as we watch some of the Ozarks' favorite chefs come into the demonstration kitchen at Metro Appliances and More and prepare some of their favorite dishes.
This is fun for TV.
You do sweet and savory together all the time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Watch Dishing It Up on channel 722 in high definition.
Welcome back to From the Studio here on MC22. We are now joined by the owner of Contender Esports, Brett Payne. Brett, how are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for taking the time out to join us. Let's start in the most logical place. I'm sure there's a lot of people in Southwest Missouri that do not know what Contender Esports is at this time. Tell us what the business is and how did it come to Springfield?
Yeah, so the idea of esports I know is relatively new to the United States. It's been around for a while, but the idea is competitive video gaming. So just like in sports, we have football and baseball and soccer and tennis and so forth and so on. The idea of esports is instead of those sports, we have games. So we have League of Legends and we have Call of Duty and we have Apex. And so it's a big, wide description of anybody that plays video games, either casually or competitively. So we had this idea a couple of years ago. We realized that there was a massive boom in this industry, especially in Asia and Southeast Asia, that started to kind of come across the planet into Europe and the Middle East and certainly into the United States. And there were kind of sporadic facilities that were around the country. My background is in franchising, and so we realized there was a big opportunity to take this industry and really capitalize on it so that we could make it available to lots of cities around the United States. And so we started this company, a franchising company called Contender Esports. We're here in Springfield, Missouri. It's my hometown. Love this city, and obviously wanted to put one in for our city as well. So you'll see it on our building. It says Springfield Esports. It's part of the brand, but we really built it for our own community.
Well, obviously, with the coronavirus, with the pandemic affecting everybody globally, your business was affected as well. Not deemed an essential business. You all had to close your doors for a while. You're back open now. What was that
Yeah.
experience like? What did you guys do with the sort of forced downtime that you went into at that point?
Yeah, it's a scary time for everybody. I mean, I guess the upside of our particular business is that our customer base, we're very close with our customer base, and we make sure that we stay in touch with everybody, primarily on social media and a lot of different channels. So in terms of staying in touch with our customers, that didn't change. We were able to continue doing what we were doing. The shift that we made, obviously, having to close the doors and people actually can't sit at our PCs and our consoles, is that people know a lot about the events and the tournaments that we have. It's a part of what we do. So because our customers are used to competing online, we continue to run the events and run the tournaments from our location there at Battlefield and National, but everybody played online. So we probably, my goodness, I don't know, we probably had one event or a tournament probably 4 or 5 times a week during the entire time that we were closed down. So we were able to kind of keep the momentum going. And the one thing that it did reinforce to our customers is, while it's good to do all this online, there's nothing like playing face to face and being with your friends. So once we opened the door, everybody came back, which is exactly what we were hoping for.
I can agree with that. I had a 15-year-old that was waiting for the doors to come back open again so he could get back into the building and see Jesse and the rest of the guys there. I know that running tournaments wasn't the only thing that you did in that downtime. Being a new business in Springfield, wanting to be a part of this community, you also took part of that time and did some fundraisers. I know particularly one that you did for Big Brothers Big Sisters, where you streamed some of the guys gaming for 24 straight hours and took donations the whole time.
We did. We have a really good relationship with Big Brothers Big Sisters. We love them a ton, and I don't know how it came up, but during one of our conversations, there was this idea of, why don't we do a 24-hour stream on this thing called Twitch? So we're an affiliate. We have an affiliate Twitch channel. We stream all kinds of things. But what we did was we basically streamed a bunch of games, had a bunch of people play, and then we took donations for Big Brothers Big Sisters, did an interview with them, that kind of thing. There were really 2 big takeaways that I wanted for that. One is, obviously, I wanted to raise some money for them. I thought, what a great thing to be a small business that is closed here in our city, but yet we can help our city like that. So obviously there was some money that was raised, a significant amount, and we're really grateful to Springfield for doing that. The other big takeaway for me was, I told them, I really would love for people to learn more about you, and maybe for you to get more what we call bigs, right? So some of the mentors. And I know that they had some new, I understood they had some new signups for that as well. So yeah, we were thrilled to be a part of that. That was great.
Well, that's not the only new thing that you're trying to bring to Springfield. You open the doors to the business, and then immediately there begins this push to try and get a league formed for high school students. You talk about esports being like other sports, like a football, a baseball, a basketball. Talk to me about the high school sports league. Obviously, it was kind of just getting started, and then the coronavirus came, and all of a sudden nobody went back to school. So kind of what is the hope for that maybe in the coming year for the high school league?
Yeah, it's just like any other sport. And that's the thing that a lot of parents don't quite understand. They see their kids playing this all the time, and a lot of time they think they're wasting time and things like that. But it's very competitive, and it's strategic, and it's hard, to be quite honest with you, especially when you look at games that are particularly team sports, where you have 3, 4, 5 people on a team participating together against another team. So one of the things that we wanted to do was make sure that our facility helped students to get the experience of team sports. And so we developed the Springfield High School League. Now, I will say that Springfield Public School System and other private schools around are very, very excited about the future of this. It takes a lot of bureaucracy to kind of put those things together across the entire city, but we just went to the schools directly, and we said, particularly in the high schools, if you want to put together a team, we set the games what they were going to be. It was intended to be a 12-week season, where we did a fall season and a spring season, and of course we'll continue that again. Put the teams together, put them in brackets, and it's just like a football season or a soccer season or a baseball season. and Saturday mornings are dedicated to high schools competing against one another in various games at our location. Now, the bigger thing I think for the city is that's going to extend into the middle schools as well once school gets opened up. So the takeaway is that because of our close relationship with universities, a lot of people don't realize that universities now, there's about 170 of them with varsity teams. A lot of those universities offer scholarships to kids to play video games. And so we've been privileged, even with our own company, to see some of our own customers get college scholarships as a result of playing video games. Who would have thought that could ever happen? But we want to facilitate those kinds of things for our students in our city.
Well, I know I was raised in a house where I was told on a regular basis when my dad found me on a Nintendo to get outside and throw a ball or pick up a bat, because no one's going to pay you to play video games and you can't go to college on a video game scholarship. And neither one of those things are true now. You've got professional video games leagues like the Overwatch League that you can find streaming on ESPN or on YouTube. And now there are schools like Drury University. I know Maryville in St. Louis has a very good program. And it's just more opportunities for kids to take something that they love doing to the next level.
That's exactly right. And I think when people think about jobs or work in esports, they think it's all relegated to actually playing. But again, to take the parallels back to traditional sports, I mean, you and I both love basketball, but we're just not tall enough to be in the NBA. That's just the truth. So, but we can do other things with basketball. You're an announcer. People can do technical things, they can build things, they can have things related to things that are their passion. And it's the same thing with esports. I mean, people come in and they do play, but you know what? You can get a job right now in marketing, in esports, or in accounting, or in building PCs, or in C-level jobs, those kinds of things. So universities recognize this, and obviously they're using esports as a mechanism to draw in more students because they can get them in their other programs. And again, we're kind of the middleman in all of that. We kind of help to farm those students to give them access to those universities so that they can get to these places that they want to go.
Brett, before I let you go, if people want more information about Contender Esports, you mentioned the social media aspect. How can people follow along and learn more?
It's really easy. We're all over the place. If you just look for contenderesports.com or Contender Esports, just type it in any search engine, you're going to find our Facebook for not only our corporate Facebook pages, but also for our various locations. We've got locations open around the U.S. already, and then we've got about 25 or so that are kind of in process, as well as work that we're doing overseas to put in locations. So just simply type in Contender Esports. You'll find us everywhere.
All right. Well, I am sure here before too long I will run into you at the location here in Springfield again real soon. We look forward to it. Thank you for the time, man.
Thank you, Corey. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Brett Payne from Contender Esports joins us. We'll be back with more from the studio here in just a minute.
Find your next car at ReliableSuperstore.com. Reliable Superstore is here to help with Toyota, BMW, Lexus, and Audi. Need service? Take advantage of our pickup and delivery. Reliable Superstore is here for you. Renew Crew is open and providing free in-person and virtual estimates for all your deck cleaning needs. Their team takes all precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Give Renew Crew a call today.
Hi, I'm Brett Johnston. Watch Soundcheck on MC22 for a look inside the Springfield music scene. Recorded right here at the Classic Rock Coffee Company, Soundcheck features an in-depth look at local bands with original music performances and sit-down interviews. Catch it on MC22, on demand, or online at mc22.net. From our stage to your living room, Soundcheck is your local music connection.
Welcome back to From the Studio, everybody. Corey Riggs, your host, here with you, and now joined by two writers from the St. Louis area that are penning some unique sports articles for a new website called oddsportstopics.com. They are Michael, Rachel, and PJ Ellis. Guys, how are you doing today?
Hey, Corey, thanks for having us on the show. We're doing great, just adjusting to life in quarantine. We both recently graduated college, so we're looking forward and excited to see what comes next for us.
Yeah, Corey, thanks for having us on the show. Very excited to be here, just adjusting to life in quarantine like everybody else and putting all that energy into this blog here.
You guys both part of what will, I guess, go down as the lost graduating class of 2020. So many high school and college graduates that have had a very unique experience this year thanks to the pandemic. Well, I wanted to have you both on because with it being a quarantine and with a lot of people spending more time maybe on social media than what they had been in the past, I had stumbled across your guys' work online, started reading some of the stuff, went to the website, and was just blown away. You guys have a website that's kind of answering some unique sports questions. It's not articles where you're talking about when baseball will necessarily come back or when hockey will come back, but things like why hockey plays 3 periods and how the NFL draft works. It's fascinating. PJ, tell me, how did this project get started between you and Michael?
Yeah, so I've always been a big fan of sports. I grew up in a sports family. My dad coached college basketball. My uncle coached college basketball. My dad broadcasted high school basketball games, college basketball games. Sports have always been a part of me. And then I played growing up, obviously, too. So when I got to college, it seemed like the next logical step was to major in sports management. And then through there, I got the opportunity to work for the St. Louis Cardinals part-time last summer. And that's actually where I met Michael. Me and Michael connected while we were working for the Cardinals together. And then he actually approached me a couple months ago about the idea of odd sports topics and just kind of why there's a lot of things in sports that are just perceived as normal that nobody ever questions that are really honestly kind of weird. And we got to talking and we decided that a blog would be a perfect way to kind of address that. And we started, once quarantine hit, we had a lot more time on our hands, obviously. So we got it up and going, started back in March, and ever since then we've been rolling.
Michael, oddsportstopics.com has a variety of different stories on it so far. I've enjoyed reading them. What has been your favorite story so far that you've researched and put on the website?
The favorite article that Peter and I have done so far to me is definitely the NASCAR article that came out last week now. That one was basically why NASCAR turns left instead of right. And when we went into our research, we found out it actually comes from horse racing and why they turn left. So once we got the answer that it's horse racing, we wanted to figure out, well, why does horse racing turn left? So that actually dates back all the way to the American Revolution in the 1700s. And it was actually the Americans going against the British ways because in England, they run their horse races turning right. So in the 1700s, when the Americans were trying to part away from the British, they said, hey, let's stick it to them and let's turn left instead of right. And it actually stuck ever since. Belmont Park, actually, which is a home to a Triple Crown race, they started out turning right in the 1900s, and there were a lot of clashes. So they were forced to turn left because of the Americans wanting to go against the British. I thought that was interesting. And still to the day, England actually runs their horse races turning right still.
Michael, let me ask you another question. When you're working on an article like this, how much time do you spend researching, digging into the backstory to kind of craft what you guys put on the website?
Yeah, of course. So it takes a little bit of time. The hardest part for us is probably to figure out which topic we do and when to keep it relevant for like the current sports that are going on, which is a little tough during the quarantine right now. But once we do figure out that topic, probably just like 3 to 4 hours of research goes into it. It doesn't take too much because some of the answers are pretty cut and clear. And then we kind of just put our own twist on it. The ones that are harder are topics that don't really have an answer. Like, for example, we had an article saying, why is horse called horse and pig? Like the game of horse you play in your driveway. And there was no answer on that, just theories. So that article probably took like a day or two to research just because we were trying to find the answer hard. We were contacting people in the sports business and basketball industry if they had any insight into the answer for us, and none of them did. So it kind of depends on if the answer is clear or not. The clearer the answer, the less research we need.
PJ, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned your dad and your uncle, and obviously I've known your dad for some time now. Not surprised to see you pen an article about the Pippen effect. Obviously, everybody that is a sports fan has been watching The Last Dance on ESPN. What was the Pippen effect? How can you sum up that story for me?
Yeah, so The Last Dance, that was an incredible series growing up. And I was born in 97, so I never really got to see Michael in his like prime play. So that was really good getting to watch him, see kind of the man behind the myth and the legend that he is. But so I think it was the first 2 episodes they discussed Scottie Pippen and his horrible contract that caused a rift between him and the front office. And it got us wondering, was his bad contract the reason for all of the modern NBA clauses, such as early termination clause and max contracts and stuff along those lines? It turns out he's not the reason for those today. There was a lot of really bad and weird contracts in the 90s and before that. David Robinson, who played for the Spurs, he actually had a contract at one point where he was paid an average of the highest 2 salaries. So he didn't really have a number. It was just an average. And then Chris Webber had a really long rookie contract. And actually it was just hurting both the owners and the players to have these really weird contracts with long terms. And it was just rough for the league. So they ended up coming up with the complex cap structure they have today. And Scottie wasn't really the reason for that, but he was definitely a part of that. His contract was a 7-year, $18 million term, which wasn't horrible at the time. It was just vastly underpaid for what he was worth. So yeah.
Yeah, it was fairly easy to see that Michael and a lot of the people in The Last Dance thought that Scottie Pippen was easily the second best player in the NBA in those runs for the Chicago Bulls and playing on what was easily one of the worst contracts that any professional basketball player had at that time. Michael, what do you think is up next for you guys? Do you have anything in the works, topics that you're looking on covering here in the next few weeks and months?
Yeah, so this morning, like you said, we released that NHL 1-3 periods. We did that because of the NHL announcing that they're going to possibly do that 24-team playoff format. So like I said earlier, we're just trying to find relevance right now in sports and put topics out that are relevant to that, like the NASCAR one and golf one, since golf is starting to come back a little bit with these matches as well. So we're just kind of do that. Just some specific topics that we have on deck are going to be why baseball managers wear uniforms where other coaches don't, such as basketball coaches wear suits and stuff like that. Why the NBA draft lottery uses actual ping pong balls, the history of the penalty flag in football, and then like how fantasy sports develop. So those are some of the big ones that we are currently working on to get released soon.
Well, that'll be fun to see. PJ, what else can you do with this sort of website, or what are you guys hoping to accomplish with it? I mean, obviously, the first and the most important thing is great storytelling, and I think you all are doing that well right now. I think you're finding topics and areas that a lot of people are curious about, but maybe aren't going to take 3, 4, 5 hours to sit down and dig up the information. Are you going to keep trying to get it out there on social media as well, or kind of what's the plans? Are there any expansion plans for you guys in getting the name of the website oddsportstopics.com out there to the public more?
Yeah, so I think moving forward, like you said, we're just really interested right now in putting out great content. So we would love to just continue to crank out these articles and release them to people. And then obviously we'd love to grow and bring more people into this. If we can find a new topic that interests 50 new people or even 5 new people, that's what we love to do and it's what we enjoy to do. Currently, we're also working on recording audio versions of our stories so people can listen to them rather than read them. So if you're at work or working out or whatever it may be, you can enjoy the articles by listening to them as well.
Oh, yeah, I think I think they totally lead themselves to a podcast format or something. Mike Rowe, the guy that used to host Dirty Jobs, has a great podcast that is really brief. They're usually just 8 or 9 minutes. And I think you guys could maybe be on the same path for something like that. Well, keep up the good work. Keep cranking out the good content, and we will keep reading. We have enjoyed it. PJ and Michael from oddsportstopics.com are our guests. We'll come back and wrap up from the studio here in just a minute.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
As COVID-19 impacts our community, Metro Appliances and More continues to serve you. Although our showroom is closed, our business is open. Live chat on our website or call the store and speak to an appliance expert. Metro Appliances and More is committed to serving you safely. Even in uncertain times, Blue Current remains open to serve you. At Blue Current, almost all services can be completed from your mobile device in the safety of your own home. Visit our website for details or download our app. Blue Current is committed to building better communities together.
Well, that'll just about do it for this episode of From the Studio. Remember, you can follow this show on Twitter at FromTheStudio22, or you can follow me at Corey Riggs TV. Please feel free to send us your questions, guest or topic ideas, take part in our online polls, and more. As we wrap up this week's show, we always like to end each episode on a positive note if we can. And I was thinking about one of the things I've been missing most since the coronavirus has hit us all so hard. One of the first things that popped into my head was going to the movies. It's a family event that I share with my wife and son, and we love to do it. But no movies to go to right now. Well, that's not entirely true. You can take a trip back to the past if you're missing that movie-going experience by heading out to a local drive-in. They still exist, folks, believe it or not, and there's probably one closer to you than you think. In Southwest Missouri, you can find them in Aurora, that's the Sunset Drive-In, or the Route 66 Drive-In in Carthage. There's even one in mid-Missouri, too, up in Moberly, the B&B Drive-In. Some are showing first-run films, and others are showing classics like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Goonies. Either way, it's a great way to get out of the house, enjoy some time with your family, but still do your part to stay safe and healthy. We have their websites listed at the bottom of the screen for you to take a look at. Our final thank yous for this show go out to our great guests tonight from Contender Esports, Brett Payne, and PJ Ellis and Michael Rachel from oddsportstopics.com in St. Louis. And as always, thanks to all of you for watching. Until next time, for our MC22 crew, I'm Corey Riggs, saying so long from the studio.